It might sound a little counterintuitive, but good audio is actually a really important part of making a polished video. I've been using this mic for more than 2 years, and for only $50, I'm really impressed with the quality. There are a lot of different options for recording audio for video. Most consumer-grade cameras these days have their own microphone input built in, and that will work for most people. But that quality isn't perfect, and if for whatever reason that audio is bad, whether you mess up a take or the gain is too loud, whatever video you recorded for that take goes down the drain. I've used the Rode VideoMic Pro for a long time now, and it's served me well. It's very clean sounding, the battery lasts forever, and it's really easy to use. It's a high quality mic, and it's a good all-arounder. But it's also very expensive. For $300, my dollars could work much harder elsewhere. There's also not many options for controlling the audio in the device itself. You've got a low pass filter, some gain control, and that's about it. It's also not very mobile. It has to sit on your camera with this cold shoe mount, so your source of your audio has to be close to your camera in order to preserve the quality of the audio. If you move more than a few feet away from the mic, the sound will get tinny from bouncing around the room before it gets to the mic. So if I'm looking to move on from this thing, I want to take the good parts of this while mitigating the bad and look for that in my new upgrade option. So the good is the battery life, which lasts a long time, the high quality audio, and the ease of use. The bad is the lack of mobility and the lack of control while recording, as well as the cost. My solution is this microphone. It's the LyxPro CMG-50. It's a standalone shotgun cardioid microphone. This means that you get some reach because the pattern of the mic extends outside of the microphone a fair bit. With an omnidirectional mic, like what people use for radio, you'll need to be very close to it in order to get high quality audio. With this mic, you can be back a ways and still get some decent audio. For $50, you're looking at things like the Rode VideoMic Pro, which have to sit on your camera. This one delivers audio via XLR, so you can use it with a standalone audio recorder like this one I have here. This is also a bit of a caveat though, since you'll need an audio device and cables that will transmit and receive this input. It might sound like a hassle to get involved with a whole new ecosystem, but XLR is really the standard for audio recording in film and TV, and this means that there are thousands of devices out there that support this standard. Your upgrade path is wide open. You can start with budget options like this and move on to more complex and high quality devices as your budget expands. Included with the microphone is this plastic mic mount holder combo thing, as well as this foam windscreen. At the $50 price point, you can't really complain about the quality of these. For being included with the microphone, they definitely get the job done, which is all that I expect. The mic itself is made entirely out of metal, which means that it's pretty sturdy. It's also decently heavy, which I don't mind, but it might be a con for some people. This means that because it's heavy, it doesn't get knocked around and mounts as easily, and it has a bit of sturdiness to it. The power switch and the gain control are a bit cheap feeling. They stick towards the middle, and sometimes they don't even really go all the way to one side, so it's hard to tell if they work. One other slightly janky feature of the build quality is the battery compartment. To change the battery, you have to unscrew almost half the housing, completely disassembling your mic rig in the process. Speaking of the battery, it takes one AA battery to power it internally. I almost always choose to power the mic by phantom power, which is power that comes from your audio recorder through your cable to your microphone. This will drain your recorder's battery faster, but I find that the internal battery is almost unusable with the amount of hissing and popping that you get with it. The hissing and popping is reduced when you use phantom power, and so that's why I switched to using that. As with any microphone, it sounds better the closer you get to your source. Although with the cardioid pattern of this microphone, you actually have the luxury of directionality. This means that the mic can be a few feet away from you while still, preserving the sound quality. To keep your sound clean, you'll need to keep your gain pretty low, so you'll still want to remain close to it. Otherwise, if you boost your gain too much, you'll start hearing some noise. Like if I talk at a normal level from over here, you'll probably start to hear the gain more than if I'm over here really close to the mic. In terms of mobility, there's a lot more flexibility than being bound to the cold shoe on top of your camera. Of course, you'll need to mount it somehow, so you won't be walking around like a news anchor or anything, but you do have some options for flexibility. I usually go for this Amazon Basics mic stand, which has an arm that gives a pretty decent height and horizontal reach. I usually mount it out of frame right above my face, and that usually does a pretty good job of capturing my audio. You will also need an XLR cable with decent length that will reach from your microphone all the way to your audio recorder. Here, I'll even do a demo of the mobility. See, my camera's probably 15 feet that way, but I'm all the way back here, and my audio is still good. I am walking around like a news reporter, actually. Amazon Basics does make XLR cables, but I want to make sure that I'm getting my cables from a high-quality company so that I know they're not going to fail on me in the middle of the shoot. It's worth shelling out a little bit more money to make sure you have a good product. I also have a desk stand for my mic, which is helpful if you're only doing voiceover and you don't need the visual, or if you're okay with your mic being in the shot. It's height adjustable to about a foot or so, I would say. Let's see. Pretty much exactly a foot. It is pretty cheap, so I wouldn't trust it to do much more than this, but you can also disassemble it. Let's see if I can do this without ruining my audio. This is all plastic, so the threading is pretty bad. But you can disassemble this. This weighs like half a pound. Just throw this in your camera bag if you need to record voiceover. I've done that before. Another caveat you'll have to take into account is that you'll be recording your soundtrack completely separate from your video track. This is called double system recording, and it's really common in film and TV. It will give you the flexibility to have your camera and microphone separate from each other, but it does require a bit more work. You'll have to sync up the two tracks in post. The slates that you see behind the scenes in movies and TV shows are actually used to sync up audio and video. They give the editor a distinct visual cue and an audio cue to line up the two separate tracks. They'll often give multiple syncs if there are multiple cameras around the room recording multiple angles of a take. However, since slates cost money, I opt to just use my hands to do a clap, and that does essentially the same job. You can also use the in-camera audio as a reference track to make sure that the audio track on your microphone and the audio track on your camera are synced up, and that will tell you that you're 100% good to go. I think that this microphone is actually a case of getting more than you pay for. At $50, it's the cheapest standalone shotgun mic that I've found. Anything else in this price point will have to be mounted to your camera. Quality is sacrificed in some areas like the switches and the battery compartment, but it's hard to complain given the price. Otherwise, it's a great value for a microphone. The directionality of the mic gives you some decent range, and the sound quality is really clean. You'll have to play around with your settings to make sure you aren't getting too much noise with your gain, but otherwise this is a great product for the price. If you are getting too much gain, you can always take it into an audio editing software like Adobe Audition and use their denoising features. I've done this before to mixed results, but sometimes it can really help you clean up your audio a lot. I've been using this model of microphone for a couple years now, actually. I bought the same exact model after my old one died, so it's got my full endorsement. As always, thank you for watching. Leave your comments and reactions below, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Below my face right now is another video you can check out. YouTube will recommend the best one for each and every one of you personally. If you're interested in any of the products I mentioned in this video, the mic, the stand, XLR cables, or audio recorders, you can find links to them in the description below. If you choose to buy those products or even any other product after clicking that link, it won't cost you anything extra, but it will provide a small commission to help support the channel. It's a great way to pick up some handy gear for yourself while helping to support content like this. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.